If you are among the 53 million people in this country who are currently caregiving for a member of your family, Nancy Cogar is going to be talking straight to you this morning. She is an elder law attorney and a frequent guest on the show, so great to see you.
Great to see you too,
I was going to say a caregiver of an aging parent. I guess that isn't necessarily the case. Any type of caregiver, right?
Right. I mean,
spouse.
It could be an aunt, uncle, grandmother. There's just so many. Really, 1 in 5 Americans are involved in some kind of unpaid caregiving, and it's just going to keep increasing.
Yes, because you were just sharing with me that the population's about to double in the 65 and older group.
Just by 2030, and it's hard to believe that's 5 years from now.
Right.
5 years. There'll be more people over age 65 than any other age group.
So what was it that you told me that the caregivers are called? The silent?
No,
the invisible?
They've been dubbed the invisibles because they're not earning money, but they're far from invisible to me because, you know, I'm meeting with these people. They want to know what they need to do to help their parents. And, you know, a lot of it is planning. Too many people have not planned for their older years.
So, okay, let's bring that part of what you do then at your practice into this, because if you are, it's one thing if you're working a job, and many of them probably are, and then doing this caregiving after hours, so to speak. But burnout happens from that.
Absolutely. And that, you know, this is National Caregiver Awareness Month. And as part of that, that's why I wanted to talk about that with you today, because caregiver burnout is a real issue. You know, when you're caregiving for an adult, your care is often sacrificed. You're sleeping less, eating bad foods, not exercising, keeping longer hours, double teaming it really, and just, you know, your health is going to be affected by that.
It's also very different because when you have your children and if you're happily caregiving for them, they're getting older and more independent.
Absolutely.
When you're caregiving for somebody, especially who's aging, it's not going to probably get better. It's going to get harder.
No, and some people are even doing it long distance, Julie. I remember when my father was ill and had dementia, I had to fly back and forth to New York over and over and over again. And I talk to people all the time. They're faced with the same issues. It's just very stressful.
All right, so you mentioned this lack of planning. That's not a finger wagging, it's just the fact that most of us are so busy we don't think to do the planning.
Exactly.
So how do you step in to help with that?
Well, if they contact me, I would arrange to have a strategy session with them. I want to get to know them. I want to know their concerns, their circumstances, and then we talk about options. Have those options in place before things start to get worse, before someone loses their ability to make decisions, because then really the only alternative is to go to court and have a court-imposed conservatorship or something like that, and that is 10 times more expensive and cumbersome and stressful.
So, okay, I'll just make up a hypothetical scenario and see where you could plug in here. Let's say that there's somebody watching today, and it's a 42-year-old woman who has quit her job to help take care of her mom. And she reached out to your office to say, look, can I bring to you kind of my mom's documents, what she has, and you can tell us what she's missing. Would that look like that?
Absolutely, and I would want mom to come along too.
Okay.
Because it really, she is, you know, the one that's going to be making the documents. And there is some hesitation, I will say, from some of the baby boomers. They don't want to give up their independence, or they'll say, I already told my child what I want, but they need something, authorized and legal that they can enforce.
Right.
Because if they don't have that, that's the biggest problem.
Right. Yeah, you were sharing with us last time you were here something about that so many people think that they're protected, but if you don't have, I think it's the original copy of your will.
Yeah,
if you don't have the original, you're in trouble.
Oh yeah. Under Tennessee law, if you don't have the original, there's a presumption that you revoked it, that you tore it up.
So make sure
That's
you know
it.
where that is, and it's under lock and key in some place where nobody can get it until they need it.
Absolutely.
Okay, now let's go back to that 42-year-old woman that I mentioned. She's quit her job.
Yes.
So you mentioned earlier about the loss of income. Can she talk to you about maybe some strategies that she should be thinking of?
Yes, because even when it comes to asset transfers, I work with a lot of caregivers, and the family is planning to offer care. So we can work on, in essence, a caregiver contract, or we can put that in a trust so that the assets are transferring, with the caregiving that is going to increase over time.
Kind of like paying for your time retroactively in a way?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
or in
Say
arrears.
there's a family house or something like that.
Right.
You want to keep mom in the house, you move in, you offer care. Maybe the house goes to you as a result of that.
Right.
So.
I mean, I know it sounds a little bit harsh maybe, but they're important conversations to have. And
Absolutely.
I would say that if you're the adult child in this case who's doing the caregiving, your parent wants to help you.
Yeah, they
Don't you think?
Over and over again they say, I don't want to be a burden to my children. Mm-hmm. And if you don't talk about it, you don't plan, I hate to say it, and I mean this with all due respect, but you do become a burden.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think is a great takeaway too, though, is look at the heart of America.
Yeah.
That 53 million of us are taking care of somebody we love in a selfless way.
Absolutely. And I just thought it was important to stress that even though they may be called the invisibles, they are not invisible.
I'm telling you, when you call her, she will be just like this in the office. I mean, you love to talk to
Oh, I
people
do.
and help them through. It's your calling.
I do. And the worst thing is when I find out someone didn't do anything about it, and then our options are limited as time goes by.
Then here is her phone number for you to call. Her name is Nancy Cogar. She has a great podcast called Boomer Time with Nancy Cogar. But 596-7220, online, nancycogar.com.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
A simple step can lead to unexpected consequences. Navigating the aftermath of a slip or fall isn't straightforward. If you've been injured on someone else's property, contact Watermark Keith. It's more to us. It's personal.
While you're counting down to Christmas, criminals